Hello, storytelling Ron. How to Christianize D&D and RPGs. How to Christianize them. How dare you? How dare you? No religion and politics in role-playing games. No religion and politics in role-playing games. But what God does your character worship? You know, what divine realm of what's your alignment in God, and what is it that what's your motive in doing things? Just no religion and politics in role-playing games. So I'm going to show you how to add Christianity to your game. And yeah, no one's going to want you to do it. And I'm a very ranty guy here, so I'm going to go on a little rant. They want you to bring in LGBTQT. They want you to bring in woke stuff. They want you to bring in pagan stuff, but they don't want you to bring in Christianity. No, it's no religion and politics. What they really mean is no Christianity and no conservatism. Right? I'm conservative, whatever. Let me define pagan for you. What is pagan? The Bible defines it, and I'm using pagan, which is from the rusticorium, from the old Italian that they used, and it was about sort of the backwoods rustic people, and then paganism and all that. But I'm using it for the modern day term of it, in my view, and I'm paraphrasing what the serpent told Eve, 4,000 years ago in our book. What the serpent told Eve, and I'm paraphrasing. You don't have to believe what God says. You can be your own God. That's paganism. God has defined it already for us. You're welcome. God has no, I didn't do it. Thank you, Lord. If you don't want to believe in God, you're going to be your own little God, and you're going to. So how does that look like? What does that look like today? You want to tell other people what to do, what to believe, how to play, what you can and can't do in the game. You're going to sell it in any way you can. Pageantry, ritual, being nice, being the cool guy. Hey, let's play this game. Just no religion and politics, all right? Any way you can to get rid of God or Jesus Christ in the games. Every game, every 100%, 99 point whatever, of role-playing games are pagan, and they're pushing paganism, and we're all, yay, even us Christian men, and my channel here, sorry if I rub my face, not supposed to do that as a video. So this is about showing you and me, because I'm still learning how to freaking do it. It's freaky deaky. I'm like, but I got it. I got the answer for you and me, for everyone, and it's not mine, it's yours, it's everyone's, okay? Take it and run with it. I don't care. That'll make two of us then. Yay. Okay. I'm really desperate. My wife's cleaning out there. I'm really desperate for you guys to do this. So the important part of Christianity is evangelism and planting churches. Okay. So you don't need God and Jesus in the game. It's not necessary. It's not important. I'm being silly here. You don't need God and Jesus or the Holy Spirit in the game. You don't need to portray them. You don't need to write down their stats or whatever. Figure out their stats. There's no unnecessary. You don't need them walking down the path, in a special show where they show up, a cameo. You don't need it. That's unnecessary. In the player's handbook, I got right here. They just have like a little list of the gods at the back. Every god but God. Would we be upset? Some guy posted on my thing. Would you be upset if Abraham got how freaky deaky would you guys? How much you would freak out if they put he put Abraham's God with a little small g in there. Very, very smart. Very tricky. the little. I gotta mock you. Well, I'm gonna mock you too. So kudos. Okay. So I don't care. I mean, I at this point, I don't care anymore. I just put your freaking faith in it. I don't care what pagans do with God, because they constantly mock and scoff and blaspheme God all the time. It's time for us Christian men to go ahead and do it. Well, let's just go ahead and do it then. If they're going to call Christianity fantasy, then let's go ahead and put it in the game then, because they call it a fairy tale, right? So, but it's a real world fairy tale. Well, so is pagan. Paganism is more real than Christianity in the sense of the world. We are by default pagans. All of us. We're born pagan. You and I are. If we just sat and did nothing, we would be pagans, because we're going to start doing our own little god things, right? Our own little we're little tyrants. We want to tell everyone what to do. I, Ron, want to tell you what to do. And if you don't do what I say, I'm going to get freaking pissed. I'm going to get angry. I'm going to bully you. I'm going to. But I'm a Christian now. I now have to love you and be patient and kind and Love is patient and kind. Oh my gosh, really? But so much joy and relief that I don't have to be the Ron, the pagan Ron. The pagan Ron is a Viking, crazy mofo and stupid. And thank the Lord, I don't have to be that anymore. On my family, on my friends, on you, on anyone. Okay, so freedom in Christ. Okay, how to play a pagan? How to play I have to play the pagans, by the way, as a GM. But as a Christian, you're playing a missionary. That's it. Your boots on the ground. You don't need Jesus. I don't even like technically, I personally don't really like the whole angel demonic thing. A lot of Christians want to play that thing, like superhero-y thing, which is fine. That's, we all are a little different in what we like. I want the boots on the ground. I want church history. I want to learn what the heck. We all know about, I don't know, Forgotten Realms or Marvel or Star Wars. We all fan freaky wiki. We all got our wikis on that. But do we have our wikis on church history? On what happened to build this Christian nation that you and I are living in right now and pretending it's pagan and changing to paganism? America, it used to be a Christian ethos, had Christian ethos, Christian morals. Now it's pagan. It's becoming, so is the world. Europe, all the places we love and enjoy, all the places that all the celebrities want to go visit in vacation to are from Christian lands. They all go to wherever there's a giant cathedral, there go the left-wing celebrities all hanging out. Oh, but just we don't care about the Jesus part. But look at these beautiful architecture. It came from nowhere. It came from man. The cultures and the lands that we want to go check out or be free in are Christian or Christian influenced. Like Japan is Christian influenced. Korea is Christian influenced. They don't have a majority Christian for sure, but they've been changed by Christians. Yeah. And pagans, you are always around. You've always been around in Europe and all that. And I want church history, man. I'm really ranting and going off, but boots on the ground. That's the game you got to play. You play as a Christian missionary and you plant churches. So I have mechanics in my game to do that, but you could do it in Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, I just watched a video of a guy explaining some cool little OSE, Old School Essentials module, and it was really neat. I got those vibes of old D&D and as he was explaining it, it was like, this cult does this and that, and these insect creatures, these frogmen, these lizardmen, whatever, do, on the different little pots of the hex map, do this and that, and they all fighting each other. I'm like, those all are pagans. They can all be pagans. They can all be, and the party should be, as missionaries, should go around fighting. Yay, get the fight, because pagans are going to want to sacrifice humans or children or enslave, period. You got to stop it at some point. So you get all the fighting, have fun fighting, because we got to have fun. Violence is fun, but the point though is to change their hearts and minds, to go in, subdue them if you can, because they're violent, and then once you've kind of defeated them, not murder hobo them, but stop the violent ones and the rest, okay, then you talk to them, then you try to persuade them, and then what I've been doing though for the Dark Ages setting is making it so that the lizard men and the orcs are just other humans that are freaky deaky, and they are. Paganism in the past, that's what it comes from. That's what our fantasy comes from, the struggle of Christians and pagans. That's the true fantasy that we all love and use now and steal from and take. What we've done though is remove the Christianity part, and the pagans are, I don't know which one the pagan is, but the pagans now have taken over, and they're taking credit now for everything, for romance, chivalry, which is ridiculous, for freedom, for fighting and saving the town, ridiculous. Okay, Christians did that. Christians went around planting churches in medieval Europe and changing the hearts and minds of the people so they would not enslave each other and enslave each other and sacrifice each other, and on into the 18th century where they ended slavery. They went around on slower boats, weaker boats, dying of diseases, going around ending the slave trade. Okay. Now everyone blames Christians in the Royal Navy for their slavery. Think about this. Slavery has been around since recorded history. Okay. 2500 BC. Recorded history, 2000 BC, right after the flood. That's right. Flood happened. Global flood. Slavery has been around, and the blacks and Arabs did nothing about it, and neither did the whites. Okay, so I don't really care about the skin colors because I'm of God, and it didn't change until And then they like to say 1619 project, like how blacks are slaves from 1619. Yeah, the Portuguese started doing slavery around 1600. Thought it was a good idea. It seemed kind of nifty, but then it grew and exploded into this business. But within less than 300 years, all the whites and Christians that were white supremacists, white devils, said, screw this. This is horrible. And went to war. Went to war in America, went to war in Britain or in Europe, went to war across Africa, around the coast, all the way into the Middle East and into India. Went to war to end slavery. Less than 300 years. Did the blacks or browns or whatever else do it? No. Now, when I say blacks or browns, I'm saying pagans. They were all pagan. The voodoo blacks were horrible. They describe in here, they went up a river valley and it was just dead people sacrificed all along the slaves, and the blacks did upon the other blacks. There was no Christians. I don't care about the skin color. I'm using black and brown just to go after you, the woke and all that. And the blacks, by the way, called the Christians white devils because they were so afraid of them, because they were told they were white devils that would eat them. But in truth, here they were, these tiny little ships surrounded by enemies everywhere. All the pagans went in, fought them to free other blacks, and the black slaves would preferred slavery, the horrific torture, human sacrifice. They threw their bodies overboard to the sharks when they were being chased by the white devil, so they could lighten their load to move on. That's what we're up against. So when you're called white supremacist, white racist, white whatever, yeah, white devil. I want to take that moniker on. I'm half Korean, so in the game you play. And by the way, this is going to be a game I'm going to be doing very soon. As soon as I get finish up the second edition of this Christians in Space. So I've created these 3 games where you play Christian missionaries, and they're on my website. The first edition is I gotta add a couple. I gotta update the PDFs. I'm gonna try to do that this week, or actually maybe next week. I actually have someone coming into town who's a Christian minister dude, and I'm gonna be helping him kind of go do some tours or whatever. But this is my ministry. I'm helping him with his ministry, but this is my ministry, and I made that clear to him too. But I'm gonna help him this week. He's staying here. He flew in. Okay. But let me go to the page here. So I have this game. I figured out a way to do it. It is missionaries on the ground. You don't need to do, like I said, God and Jesus. So let me just show you. This is the Dark Ages one, and so I'm doing the setting that is an amalgam of history in 6th century Italy, where the church is starting to spread and confront pagans and Germanic, the Germanic barbarians and all that, and the Franks and all that. I mean, there's way more history. It's amazing, and we are obsessing over Forgotten Realms or Star Wars or Greyhawk or whatever, and it's just so dumb. Okay, I'm being insulting. I'm not trying to denigrate it in that sense. I'm denigrating in the sense that we're being loyal to us Christian men. We have so much history to study and create a role-playing game with. And you can extrapolate out stuff too. You can create really evil dudes, right? That look like fantasy, because they were. They dressed up like orcs. They dressed up like lizardmen. Like, you can create a whole lizard cult where they're and you can extrapolate out. You can make it a little more, way more extreme than what maybe really happened. But that's the fun of it. Like 13th Warrior is a good sort of depiction of. Remember the 13th Warrior movie with Antonio Banderas? But the cannibal pagans. Well, they were both pagan. The Vikings were pagan, and so were the cannibals. But the cannibal dudes from the east, right? They were very. They wore the bear costumes and the horns. Perfect, and they're freaky, and they sort of had a night stealth magic, and yes, you can use magic and spells and all that in this game as well. Yes, absolutely, you can use voodoo, you can use magic, you can use all that. All right, how do you do it? Well, like in D&D, you could actually use you can do a cleric that's Christian, and what's funny is I just looked at it and the skills, like there's no evangelism skill. It's kind of amazing. There's no preaching or evangelism thing in there. There's not. They've sort of taken that away. I really feel very. Like they're diabolical. They really made it. So the clerics in there are all about action, and that's what paganism is about. The paganism is about ritual, action, whatever. Even white magic. Pagans will do good stuff to you to then corrupt you and control you. But you can make the cleric and the paladin have a preaching skill. Maybe give them insight or wisdom, and they have a preaching skill where they, +2 professional level or whatever. I haven't, I'm kind of erasing all that because I'm just done with D&D. But you could have it where they are going around preaching, and basically they're trying to help the same storyline. There's a village, there's a dragon, whatever. But here's what you as a GM do. You make the village, generally, pagans worship power. So you're going to have them worship the dragon or worship the witch or worship whoever is making them suffer. Pagans worship power. What a choice do they have? There's no hope. There's no God, it's either this God or that God, but guess who's going to persuade them the most? The one that destroys, enslaves them the most, that has the most violent. That's what Marxism is. Marxism, I'm going off on a rant here. Marxism is just paganism done, with modern terms. It's whoever has the most power will control you and enslave you. Slavery has been predominant until Christ came and showed us the way. And no, the Bible does not condone slavery. I know atheists try so hard. Slavery is in there because of it's the term used. There's contractual slavery and there's forced slavery. And I'm sorry, but there's no Jewish Israelite forced slavery campaign. There were some prisoners of war. I get that. And there was them dealing with a lot of pagans who sold their children to Israel, all the time. And the Israelites got greedy. And yeah, they did sin in the sense of like, oh, well, we might as well take advantage of these pagans selling their children. And so they had to make rules and all that, blah, blah, blah. But no, there was never in the Israelite history of their wars and history, they did not go around like stealing, abducting slavery, They had wars, they had to deal with stuff, they had to deal with the leftover women and children. And they had Moses had to deal with that. And it's written in there. So, of course, the atheists are like, look what they did here. They got these slaves here. That's because we actually wrote our history and tried to deal with it and figure it out. Whereas pagans, they just did it. So there's no written word about how they dealt with it. They just freaking did it. And they did it horrifically. They tortured, they sexualized harems. The Janissary Islam forced Christian families to give up their sons every 5 years or whatever as soldiers. Forced. They would take them. They forced them to bring their sons, and they would take all their sons they wanted and forced them into Islam and Janissaries. Forced. And if you didn't give up your sons, you were killed. Or you were taken as a father. Imagine living in a world like that and that can happen today. And you never saw your sons again. They're called the Janissaries, and that was the norm. I mean, do you have freedom in Islam today? No, it's paganism. Can you criticize Islam? Go ahead, go criticize Islam. You can certainly criticize Jesus Christ. You can mock us, blaspheme us. What do? You're going to get it. I'm going to pray for you. Well, go and mock Muhammad and Allah. Muhammad and Allah. Go do it in a Islamic land. Go, is that your freedom of speech is to be able to criticize government and religion, right? Government especially. But who runs the government in Islamic regimes? They're pagan. Slavery. You're enslaved. You're a slave in Islam. Women are chattel. The actual Quran says you can have 4 wives so you can keep making children, and they can't even have education. I mean, look at Afghanistan today. It's back to slavery. Thanks, Democrats. Just like Vietnam. The same story. We say we lost the war in Vietnam. They say now about 10 years from now, the Democrats are going to write history books where we lost the war in Afghanistan, which we didn't. We won that war. But then they gave up, right? They pulled us out, and evil came right back in. Because of Democrats, because of Biden. The same thing happened in Vietnam. We had Paris Peace Accords. We had a treaty. We won. We got the South to be free. The North was communist. Then they got rid of Nixon, got a week forward in. Then the Democrats took over the Congress and said they're not going to support the Paris Peace Accords at all, and moved out the military because they had control, and the slaughter began in Vietnam and in the other country, Burma or whatever. Not Burma, the one next to Vietnam. Horrific. Okay, so pagans. All right. Here I am going ranting again. Okay, so let me go to how to do this. So in D&D, you go around, as a DM, you make it so that the villages are all worshiping them. I mean, you could just play it straight. They're just all weak, but the point is that the cleric and the paladin and the mercenary fighter and the wizard or whatever, the wizard can be a magi, could be like a Christian, and you're trying to convert them into Christ, plant a church in the area, and then save them and then move on. And then as a DM, I would just play the pagans, like the dragon is all we have. It's safety. We have to give to them, or we have to sacrifice our children, or we have to give sacrifice to the wizard, the sorcerer. We have to, that's what they do. And you got to stop them. And, I personally just so not interested in D&D anymore and all that. But if that's what you love and that's what you got to do, I would suggest just getting my game, looking at the rules. It's $5 for this book, this PDF. But let me show you what I'm referring to. Let me get this better on the screen. Sorry, I'm ranting and just going all over the place. So the game system is, I tried to do it, it's simple. Well, let me go with the power of faith. So, I created my own spell system. I'm going to call it spells. Other Christians don't like when I say spells, which is fine. They're not spells, they're blessings. But it's the same game mechanic. And you can just use your D&D spell system or whatever. But basically, the Christians have different spells they use. For instance, the clergy can use bless, heal, preach, prophecy, protection, for armor saves or for adding to the armor, rebuke, which would drain them of their just their violent. Rebuke, it takes away their hit points basically, but it doesn't kill them when it goes to 0. It makes them like, they don't want to fight anymore. They don't, so it's kind of like that. And sorcerers and witches would get a save versus rebuke, whereas regular, villagers and a mob would not. They would just take the damage. Then here, let me go back to, sorry, I'm going all over the place, but whatever. Okay, so in the combat system, I have something called denouement, and this is important. Denouement here. So as you're fighting them, can you see it all in there? As you're fighting, DM, you want to roll, or GM, you want to roll a morale on the enemy, and this is my little system here. But you can, whatever system you want. But if they take a nat 20, if 1/3 of them fall, down to half vigor hit points, flanked by the Christians or missionaries, successfully attacked and preached at in the same turn, I would do a roll, and this is kind of like the rule dice I have here for the different types. And then here's like, do they flee? Do they surrender? They want to move away. And it's, there's obviously a chance to have them surrender if things continue in the bad way for them. But also they could fight to the death. So the point here is the players, the missionaries, are looking to see when they may want to give up. And then that's when they start preaching to them, because so there's a combat. And of course the combat could be that they fight to the death, And these rolls here, the D4 is for lowly foes. But if the lowly foe is with a witch, I will bring it up to a D6. So when I roll, it can be a D6 or higher, or a 6 roll, which just keeps on fighting. If they're with a gang boss or warrior leader, then I might make it a D8. And, nearby, like it could be that they're fighting just this group or they're fighting the whole army or whatever it is. And I will roll one of these. Just, and as a GM, discretion, I kind of decide which one based on the situation. And lowly foes and commoners is like the common wolves and bandits and all that are weak and desperate villagers, and then D6s for warriors and hireling and bandits that are very successful and want to do more, and maybe they got their boss with them. But a lot of times the cult will send out warriors to go attack you, and they'll have a D6, so they might fight or they might flee, kind of a thing. So then you get a chance to preach to them. So in D&D, you got to figure that out, like a wisdom skill, whatever. And if you roll high enough, or beat their wisdom or whatever the roll is, you can weaken them and make them start thinking about things. And yeah, it's a weird and amazing role-playing situation. The pagans, regular D&D and RPGs don't have this. You guys plan out a conversion. And I don't mean conversion like you're converting them. You're getting them to think about it. That's kind of what you do with the pagans, right? You're getting them, the villagers, the mob, the bandits or whoever, you're getting them to think, maybe there is another way. I want to hear more about this God of yours, And I do role play them mocking their God. So, and blaspheming their God. I do. So and I just don't go overboard though. I do it in a kind of a silly way, like, oh, you believe in a God who died? That's weird, or you believe in a sun god or God of, I say weird things. And I even go off of what they say too, and make fun of them. And I make fun of them, but not too crazily, right? I don't, let's keep it mellow. But because when I do that, it's really neat because then they work out their evangelism. The players actually, he just said our God died. And then like, oh, you have two gods, a God and a son. Oh, and like, no. So they go, no, it's one God, but I don't get that. I don't understand. You have two gods, right? So we worship two gods. I'm like, no, it's three. Like, but it's only one, So I like doing that to them to throw them off. And they you have to like, you're teaching each other in fellowship and edification how to evangelize correctly or how to respond to things. And at some point too, when I we've talked enough in the little evangelistic point, I let them do a roll, and then I kind of consider what would be the role of, or the defense of the pagan or whatever, and if they fail, the guy says, I don't like this, I want to leave, or you could do some sort of negative reaction and they just don't want to hear this anymore and leave, or maybe they have to arrest them, I don't know, and put them somewhere. I don't know how that would work. I'm the GM telling you I don't know what would happen. You just have to, depending on your scenario. Let's say it's a bandit on the road, and the bandits, and they preach, they fight them, they get them to submit, and then they preach to them, but it doesn't work, and they roll really bad. And so the bandits could be like, what are you going to do with the bandits then? So I don't even know as a DM, like, what are they going to do? They don't believe in them. They're mocking them, scoffing them, snarling. Maybe they're tied up, but they're like, your God sounds stupid. Seriously, got to do that as a GM, because I worship the tree gods and will always worship the tree gods. So what do the Christians do with them? They got to figure that out. That's the great story. Like, same with a witch. If they fight a witch and they beat her down and they don't kill her, so they got her to, then they try to convert her, and she's like, you're Christians, I hate you Christians, and you will always burn. The demons will get you, or whatever. In the 6th century, they did not yet make an allegiance with Satan. That becomes in the 13th, 14th century. In the 6th century, they did more paganism, like, the father of the forest will always rule. What do the Christians do then? Well, in real life, they had to do the witch trials and burn them at the stake. Well, that actually didn't happen until the 13th, 14th century. In this period, actually, what they did is they did give them someone like that. They would have to give them to if they weren't repentant. If they were repentant, they would give them fasting. If they weren't repentant, they told a local lord. And this, I'm talking about history. They would give them up to a local lord, because they were actually, the pagans outlawed their own pagan witches. So think about that. Why did they do that? Love potions. Drugs is very, very common in paganism, and that's in this game. They use how do the witches and stuff control people? Drugs and rituals, and there's a ton of sexual perversity, but I kind of obviously want to move that out and gloss that over. So I focus on drugs and slavery, and there's a ton of human sacrifices. It's called abortions today. I don't want to do that, because I want to do it because it's true and so huge. Back then, I do want to do some human sacrifices depending on the level of the players. I don't really want to go to the babies but it was so freaking common, just like it is today. We just hide it behind a pretend clinic. So to lighten that up, but I still want to teach that to your kids and stuff. But to lighten that up a little, I want to treat it like bad slavery, brutish bullying slavery with children, especially, so that your kids can have a sense of being able to rescue them. So sort of focus on slavery and drugs. And why drugs? Because you want to let them know that people are getting drugged, and that too you can save them from, like sober them up. But when they're drugged, they're really evil. That's like the denouement, by the way. When a cult warrior is drugged, their denouement's going to be like a D12, and they're going to fight, and their surrender is going to be kind of weird and right? So you got to play that out. So that's another scary thing. A drugged cult warrior is like a demonic possessed, and you can have demonic possessed. I believe in that. You can have demonic possessed and drug warriors. So then now you have like literally a troll, like a powerful troll. Like they don't feel any pain. They're going to fight you to the death. Their eyes are blood red. You know, you can have that kind of stuff in the game with drugs. That's why back in the 6th century, most of the local lords hated the witches because they used drugs, and they used it on people, especially like date rape drugs. And the lords did not want date rape drugs around their women, you know, their maids or their wives or their daughters. And so, but lords actually used witches too. They had a private witch, but they did not like the rusticorium, you know, the populace witch. They legalized that and executed them. You know, the church would have to give them up. If they weren't repentant, they would give up to local lord, and the local lord would burn them or execute them or whatever. But the church didn't do it. But the church, what else are you going to do with a witch who's like, I'm going to kill him and enslave her? Well, hey, local lord. So I like how you know, the pagans like to blame the Christians in the church for all the death of the witches. The people wanted them, you know, the lords wanted to get rid of them too. The non-Christians who couldn't control them. And think about other witches who were in control of that town did not want other witches as well. So imagine that jealousy, false accusations going on there. There's going to be some witch or sorcerers who control the witches in the area. And if someone else comes along, especially like a do-gooder who tries to help locals, oh, no. You know? So they're not going to tell you that history. Oh, no. They're only going to tell you the witch trials and the Christians stopped the witches and they're so oppressive. Oh, yeah. What about a witch who owns an area and a new witch comes into the area? What happens there? They all get along? It's all a happy hippie community of witches getting in on each other's business. Is that all happy and good? So in my game, 4 spells for evil spells. So this is the good spells. And you got women's touches. Oh yeah, women and men are different. Hardcore on that one. Oh, I'm kind of cutting off the page here. Yeah, whatever. It's just a little bit. Yeah, let me get a little bit more in the middle just for my own. Oh, there it is. Okay. So I have also a woman's touch because men and women are different, and this is a big important part of the game for me. I love this because our pagan RPGs erase women. They erase women. They're like, oh, we want equality by making everything what men do. I looked at the famous men and women of medieval history. All the men are kings or warriors or whatever. All the women are either patron ladies or nuns. That changed history. That changed history for us. So they're literally wiping all that out in these RPGs and giving women equality by erasing what women do. What women do. They're telling them, be a man. So pathetic. All right. It's time for you and me to rebuke that patheticness. I wanted to give a personal story. Okay, whatever. So my daughter, I got her into D&D back in the day. And so she's running around playing an elven warrior. And she also played an elven druid and just basically fighting bad guys. And she didn't want to play the Four Lord RPG because I told her about you can't wield a battle axe. You're not that strong. You have a limit to your strength and aggression and hit points as a woman. So you can't run around like the men and fight. And I've only recently, because she's 19, 20, she's very busy in her professional life now as a chef and doing stuff. So I only have a little bit of time to even play with her. I don't have like every day like we did when she was younger. And she's got a suitor and all that. So, but I did manage to get her to play a couple times now, and she got it. She was all like, but then, oh my gosh. So she started playing a patron lady and then sort of, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes into the game, she's like, okay, she is really into artwork and really into Christian art, and she wants to use that to show the people. See, so she started doing it, she started becoming a woman. And I had someone on the thing comment how she read my stuff, looked at it, and she realized that's all along. She's been playing D&D for 20, 30 years, hated it, or, whatever, I'm paraphrasing. And then she said how she saw what I was doing, saw these different women things that and she played a warlock or sorcerer Yeah, so she's still playing D&D, but whatever. But she did all the supportive stuff, or she was a bard. I can't remember. I think maybe she was a bard or a sorcerer. But she played she started like helping the men and playing a woman. So she didn't like run up necessarily and fight and do all the damage like she used to, and didn't feel anything. She found her reward in aiding the men, who then who started becoming like chivalric with her. Like they started like respecting her for the support she gave them in their fighting. You know what I mean? So I had I mentioned this in other videos, but I had two girls, both did the same thing, and they had a brother, and they didn't like that they were weak, but in the game, boom, brother, go up and fight. I'll stand back and shoot my crossbow or figure out something else to go around the behind. And the brothers, yes, I will go forward. I will go forward. That's amazing. Wow. Your brother will protect you, or your husband, or you're the man. I will protect you, woman. And the woman's doing something. She's got to figure out something to do, because she cannot charge forward like an idiot, like us men do, like idiots. Our upper body strength, our joint strength, everything is so incredibly different. And for the pagans, for D&D and all these other OSRs to erase women, that's exactly what they're doing. They're erasing women, and they're making women play like men, and it's pathetic. And I'm going to call it out as pathetic. Women should be playing women. So also, I'm a Christian of Pastor John MacArthur, Reformed Baptist. Women cannot be pastors. And boom. Women cannot be pastors. They can be evangelists, though. In this game, all the characters are evangelists. So you are missionaries. You plant churches, and then the ministers come in from the church and do the parish thing. They run the church. So you don't run the church, but you do plant the church. And when you plant a church in a village or whatever, I have rules for this. It can become a support network for you. Now in the Dark Ages, it's more like a narrative thing. The GM can just do it narratively. But in the Apocalypse one and the Cruise of Space one, I have mechanics so that you plant a church, and it becomes sort of a base for you, base of operations for you, if it survives, and I have roles for that. So, and if they're having a hard time, you can support them by giving them treasure, and when you do, they'll be a little more secure and be able to do their operate their things and gather more people and blah blah blah. So it's really cool. All right, let me go down to I discuss culture of paganism based on the 10 Commandments kind of thing. I discuss church activity, just kind of in general. I keep it light. So I give in the Dark Ages this little sort of roll up you can do. And here is sort of like the level from low level to higher level of what the pagans are doing in an area. This, and you can come up with your own extrapolations on this as well, obviously. The motive of the leader, I try to break it down, what I think the general motives are. They get worse and worse. Modus operandi is sort of like the style of what they do. Is it based on lust? And I don't mean sexual, like I don't want to take that out, but I mean lust in the sense of they, very beautiful, very pageantry, manipulative, vengeance, greed, pure malice, tyranny. Okay. And this is location. This is just some treasure. You can have a little tomb, a layer traps, kind of a basic setup of a tomb. Mastercrafted items here just for the fun of it. Local disposition of the people. This is you can do it in groups and areas of the village or all a general view of the village, however you want to do it, and what they are. Like they could actually be Christian, like hiding in amongst them all, very violent evil. So this could be like a bear cult that wants to just kill you when you come in. So you better not go in. Pagan activity examples. So this here is the dark spells, and you could literally play sorcerers, warlocks, whoever that are evil in D&D and just make them the pagan leaders, and they got everyone to worship them. And here I talk about the spells they use, like curses and control. Pagans spells Christian spells are about helping, uplifting, stopping evil. Pagan controls are about control, tyranny, enslavement, and fear. So that's what these are all about. These little spell things that are on here: condemn, charm and control, curse of the spirit, harm. And they can't do it to Christians because we have the Holy Spirit, but they can do it to others, right? The pagans and the villagers and all that. And they also have rituals that they can do. And a lot of this is kind of a description, but it's, also as a GM, you can kind of make it narrative based where they do a ritual and I have more details on here, but they do a ritual and it gives all their warriors a plus, D4 bonus to their fighting or a plus D6 to their health. That's the ritual. You can kind of make up a ritual that they do that gives the local wizard or sorcerer a power to their warriors to terrorize and be a tyrant amongst the people, and control them. So, that's what else? Okay, that's it for this. I shortened this up because I separated out the creature listings and the adventure. But I'm gonna make a second edition of this, which I'm about ready to do, where it has more stuff, but it fixes a couple of rules. For this game right now is good for like low level-y, but as they get higher levels and want to do more, I just need to add fix the rules a little bit to adjust for that because of the new playtesting I'm doing. Okay, but anyway, this video was a babbling thing, which is what I tend to do. I don't edit or script. I just babble and upload. Yeah, I should probably edit, but I just can't do it. The Lord is not letting me. Okay, God's will. Oh wow, the most important part here at the end of the video. God's will is God's will in this game, like casting lot. So casting lots is in the Bible. It's pretty funny. David does it. They do it in the New Testament to replace Judas. They cast lots to pick they roll dice, basically. In this game, playing as a missionary, it isn't about whether it's God's will or not. It's about, Jesus gave us the commission, right? The Great Commission, evangelize. He doesn't need us. The Great Commission is not for him. The Great Commission is not for God or Jesus. It's for us to do something because we want to do something. We want to serve the Lord. We love the Lord. We want to serve him. The Great Commission he doesn't care. I mean, I'm being extreme here, but trying to get a point across. He doesn't care about the commission in the sense of he doesn't need us. He doesn't need us to do anything, right? To convert people or anything. The Great Commission is for us to do something. He's telling us, okay, if you want to do this, all right, if you want to do something, spread the word. Okay. I'm being hyperbolic, but I'm just getting the point across. So that this game is about you and I trying to serve the Lord. Whether we succeed or fail doesn't matter. We got to do something. So when you pray in the game, and we all believe in prayer. So when you pray in the game, I have the mechanics where when you pray and you roll, then you can give each other, you give the others inspired die, inspired points. That's what the prayer is for. And that makes sense too. Psychologically, when you get together and do corporate prayer, you give each other a focus, a bonus, a little bonus to go out and do whatever that task is, right? In a church, we do it all the time. We're gonna serve donuts today. Let's pray. Okay, so prayer is important, and it gives you bonuses for the rest of the adventure. And that's what. So I get these bonuses. I'm doing God's will, but it fails. That's sacrilegious. No. Who cares? God doesn't care if you succeed or fail. I mean, I'm being. Right? What he cares about is that you're trying. So God's will, whether the dice succeed or fail, doesn't matter. You could go in and the cult defeats all of you and kills you all. TPK. It doesn't matter to God. He'll still, win in the end, right? What matters is that you served the Lord. So that's what the game is about. It doesn't matter if you succeed or fail at what you're doing. What matters is that you keep the faith. Okay? In real life, in the Bible, nothing, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you succeed or fail, because Jesus is going to come in the end no matter what. So don't concern yourself with that. Concern yourself with actually trying. So try. Play the game. Try. Just try. Do it. Evangelize. Put your Christian faith in the game. Let's mess up the RPG culture. They are so confident and cocky and that they're all pagan. They all help each other. They all sell each other's books. They all promote each other. I can't join any of those reindeer games, and I don't want to. It's boring to me. I mean, it's the only stuff I. By the way, if any of you guys are watching or whatever, I don't hate you, and I don't. I look fondly at what you're doing, but if you're a Christian, you need to put your faith into it. Period. And and I do respect what they're doing because they want to just have a fun time and all whatever. But at the same time, I'm done because look at the culture. We're butchering our children. We're sacrificing our children. We're sexualizing our children. It's in the government. It's in the halls of governance. They're making it. It's illegal here in California for me to try to stop my child from being trans or gay. It's literally illegal. I mean, my children are adults now. They got Jesus. But if you're a Christian and your child being brainwashed by the public schools because they're brainwashing them, and they get you to want to be trans because of your weakness or your frailty, and the parents are too busy trying to live their, make money and in this tax-ridden world of Democrats. You know what I'm saying? They literally at the point where they can take your children away from you. So that's why I'm saying it's time. Why in RPGs? Because it's culture is downstream from government or upstream. Actually, culture is upstream from government. The people in the government right now are people who play D&D and forgot about Christ and didn't evangelize or weren't evangelized too. And they're promoting all this stuff and no one is rebuking them. We need to learn to rebuke. We need to learn to evangelize again. We need to have that psyche again. We need to teach each other. And guess what? There's Jesus Christ, his commission, his faith it's a light yoke. It's not a burden. If it's a burden, you're doing it wrong. If it's a burden, you're doing it wrong. So you need to do it right. So how do you do it right? Well, here's one way. I'm assuming you're watching this as an RPG person. Hello, this is so much fun. And it's a ministry. This is totally a ministry. It's the Great Commission. I'm doing the Great Commission. I am playing a role-playing game. I feel like I'm stealing. I feel like I'm in the cookie jar. And I'm looking at the Jesus. And I'm like, and he's all, yeah, okay. I did say take up the cross, and you're doing it, so I have to let. I feel like that's what I'm doing, because this is a lot of fun. This is better than I hate D&D now. I mean, I don't like the game system actually, and I don't like, but of course more than that, I don't like the woke, the arrogant pagan culture that has taken over the culture. Hollywood, whatever. So I hope this has been really understandable. Casting lots, rolling dice, doing the blessings, preaching, God's will or not, you got to do it. You can fail at it. It's not a big deal. I don't think it's a big deal if you fail in the game. This is for God. God told me to do this. Well, you can fail. You can fail at it. God doesn't care if you succeed or fail. He doesn't need you to succeed. He needs to see what you do. Lay down your life. Laying down your life means you failed, doesn't it? Right? And that's the best thing you could do. So you shouldn't concern yourself whether this is sacrilegious or not. It's not. You're doing something. If you're doing something for the Lord, okay, then it's not sacrilegious. But are you doing the right thing for the Lord? No, that's. I mean, the sense of the basic, whatever it is. I don't know if it's the creed or the belief systems. But anyway, I'm Christian, creation, conservative, Calvinish, Reformed Baptist. I do welcome Catholics and Orthodox, those kind of, whatever that big thing is. I don't welcome progressive Christians. If you're a progressive Christian, I don't welcome you. Make your own. You can steal my ideas and make your own. I don't care. That's fine. But I would not play with you in my games. And pagans and atheists, and I would not play with you in my games. At least not yet. Not yet. I'm working on the Christians right now. We need to still create a game and a culture community. And then if this was successful enough and there was a community of us, I would certainly use it to evangelize others. So if other atheists who want to come in and check it out, then that'd be fine. But right now I can't focus on it right now. It's not my focus. But Catholics and Orthodox, I don't mind because it's, and I know we have huge disagreements, huge, but I believe that your faith, you're working on your faith, whatever. But the point of this is evangelism, and evangelism is the basics concepts of Jesus. You need Jesus Christ, your Lord and Savior, and here's a church. That's the basic thing I'm aiming for right now. And I love the history of the Catholic Church, for good or bad. Blah blah blah. The Crusades, the witch hunts, the trials. The Protestants did it. The Catholics did it in Europe, Northern Europe. I don't want to take in the Orthodox in the East. I don't want to take away from any of that. And I would rather have that debate, than a debate with pagans or atheists or whatever. So, and I don't want Mormons though, because they have a whole nother book, I don't accept that as a Christian faith. Okay. So this is my, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of religion. That's who I am. And I'm just stating it out clearly. Okay. So, if you're a Christian, believe in creation, Calvinishy or not, whatever. That's fine right now because I think that's a higher level concept. But creation is important. I have that in the game. Creation science, and women can't be pastors or priests. I'm not LGBTQ, right? Not woke, none of that. No BLM. That's so if you're into that, if you want to join with these games and play these and have some fun, and men are men, women are women. No, there's only two genders. That's another reason why we got to do this, because they're apparently making in RPG you only got one gender, really. Battle axe gender, Okay, I hope this was helpful and annoying. And if you have any questions, if you're a Christian, creation, conservative, Calviny, something in that rank, and Catholics and Orthodox, if you're really into your Bible, that is, if you're really into your Bible, not just light, not progressive, please contact me. And if you want to play the game or check it out, I'm gonna make I got a lot of work to do. I got a Kickstarter going on right now, Christians in Space 1, and I'm working on the second edition. That's gonna be the final edition. I'm just getting all the high level stuff figured out, but simplified, and so that we can just have a great game. And then at that point, I'm gonna start working on a lot more settings, campaigns, all that stuff. Okay, if the Lord lets me stick around. Okay, in the game of life, we need to start. You need to start. And in this RPG culture, in the game of life, when you need to roll holy dice.